Well, hello there. For all things Halloween, this is hauntformer, and welcome back. It's 2022, can you believe it? I still can't. We're in February, and I still can't believe it's 2022. Okay, enough of that nostalgia. Let's talk about what everyone's talking about right now. The Lemax Spooky Town. I'm excited if you couldn't tell. 2022 lineup. Now I know they released the Christmas one. I don't care. Christmas is fine, but I'm not talking about Christmas. This is a Halloween program. We're talking about the Spooky Town for 2022. Now, usually, let me boot it up here. Usually, when I look at Spooky Town, there are like one, maybe two tops of the pieces that I would consider purchasing for myself. Usually I like about half of them, but personally I would only want maybe one or two. Because that's how many I usually add to my display each year. If you haven't seen my past displays, if you're a new viewer, welcome by the way. This year there are at least like 4 or 5 that I would consider buying, and I really love most of these pieces this year. I actually did a ranking of them in my head, so I can kind of mention that to and fro throughout this video. But yeah, I'm going to jump into it because there's a lot to talk about, a lot of really cool pieces, and probably a few hot takes too, because I don't have the same opinion as everyone does in the Spooky Town community. Like for example, there's a big chunk of you guys out there that love what I like to call the trick-or-treat town or trick-or-treat neighborhood village stuff, like where it's like businesses decorated for Halloween, like we'll get to with the pet shop and stuff. But I get why everyone likes those, but I personally like the spookier, scarier things. I'm into the scary side of Halloween, therefore that doesn't appeal to me as well, but I certainly understand its place. So let's scroll down here. 268 days from the recording of this video until Halloween. Very exciting, of course. We're getting ready already. Now, I'm going to lightly touch on the accessory pieces and kind of mention them and the returning pieces, but I'm not going to go in depth on any of that. We're talking about the new stuff here. And we'll also get to the Michaels exclusives in a bit, so bear with me. We have the Spooky Victorian hearse. Nice hearse. The Jitterbones Dance Party. The Girl with the Cat. The Witch Fence we saw last year. Esmeralda the Great. And the Witching Hour. So far, all this stuff looks like it's rehashed. Maybe the hearse is new? I don't exactly know. The hearse is my favorite probably out of this list. I like the Esmeralda thing too, but I'm not crazy about the witch stuff. But Michael's is, as we'll see in a bit. The Horrid Haunted Hotel is returning, as is the Isle of Creepy Jacks and the Tattoo Place, the Helga's Hat, and the Meow Mansion. Those were all at Michael's. Those were all exclusives, and now they are new for 2022 for the rest of Spooky Town, if you will. That's how I can best explain it. Now any company that wants to use them is welcome to. So now getting into some new items. We have the Tombstone Seesaw. I don't know if this is animated. Oh, it apparently is. Just goes back and forth. Simple. Uses AA batteries, as you can see right here. Batteries not included. I'm assuming you can, yeah, you can use it with a power adapter too. I dig it. I dig it. It's cool. I don't know if I'm gonna get it, but I like that quite a bit. I like the lights on it too. That's nice. Very simple. Very simple. Tombstone Seesaw. Say that 10 times fast, would you? Up next, we have the Cat and Pumpkin. This is like a little light up piece. There's a few light up pieces this year that are pretty cool. Cat and Pumpkin's alright on my radar. Spooky Cauldron I like a lot more because it's so weird. You got the tentacles coming out of it. It makes you ask a lot more questions than it gives you answers. And there's also further down, there's ghosts, like blow mold ghosts, which I think for those trick-or-treat people especially, and even myself, honestly, you're going to gravitate a lot towards those pieces. Alright, our first new building, like legit building, is the Bailey and Bella Pet Shop. Now, when I did my whole ranking of this year, this was actually my least favorite, and it's not a bad piece, but it's just not what I look for in a Spooky Town piece. It's very cute. It deals with the puppies and the dogs, and I know some people really like it. It's honestly not terrible. It has some good coloring to it overall, and it's a nice little trick-or-treat display. It's just, for me, it's a little too cutesy. You know what I mean? I need something a little more creepy, a little more intense. You know what I mean? So, there's Bella and Bella Pet Shop. I'm sure it'll go over well, especially if it winds up at Michael's. That stuff tends to sell pretty well, and I know it has its place. It's just not a place in my personal village. Up next is the Poison Pumpkin Potpourri. That's a very fancy word. This thing is pretty cool. It goes well with a lot of like the Mad Pumpkin Patch. Any of the pumpkin stuff tends to blend well together. That's kind of its own theme now. What's cool about this one is that I like that corn thing on the side. I think they could incorporate that kind of with the farm. It's kind of a mix between the industrial and the farm stuff, which is nice. And it does have a video to go along with it. This is one of the few pieces, if not the only piece, for the new ones, at least, that uses smoke, that uses that mist. I do like that. I like that the stem of the little, or the rather big, pumpkin top is steaming it up. I do like that quite a bit. Got some really good lighting on it. This one I assume will be a pretty popular seller just because of the nature of it. I enjoy it. It's not my favorite. It's not my least favorite. I think when I ranked the pieces this year, this one was sitting right in the middle. So it's in a good spot. I can see it selling out. Alright, let's get the big one out of the way. This is actually not my favorite one, and the reason is I usually don't gravitate towards the high in value ones. This one's going to be probably the most expensive of the year, just like the Symphony of Screams was. There's another Michael's exclusive that I think is also going to be a pretty penny. But it's not to say that it's bad or anything. I actually really like this one, the Count's Bat Bonanza. It's a amusement park one, which I don't own any of the amusement park ones. I sold off the Web of Terror that I bought. Not that I hated it or anything. I just kind of wanted the cash for it as opposed to owning that one because I don't want to do a whole carnival section in my thing. At least not yet. Maybe I will open up to it. But if you are into the carnival thing, as a lot of you are, this one is really cool. I love the theming of the bats as the ride vehicles, and I love the purples in it. There's not a ton of purple pieces, so that's really cool to see. It's based around Count Dracula, of course. There is a video to go along with it, which is awesome. It does have some sound. This ride could suck the life right out of you. Now, I'm not crazy about the audio of any of these pieces. I feel like it's a little bombastic, if you will, but I do like this piece quite a bit. Again, if you like the I don't remember the name of it, but it's got like, it's an octopus with tentacles. It's like super rare. There's that piece. You have the Web of Terror. You have all of the kind of monster themed amusement park rides. This is the one for you for this year. I assume this is going to be a lot of people's favorite. Fearsome Flowers, not a ton to say about it. I like it. I like carnivorous plants. I own the Garden of Eden. This one's cool. It doesn't really go with anything this year, which is odd. Same thing could be said for the Spooky Planter Urns, but I do like both of those quite a bit as accessory pieces. As I do a lot of the accessories this year, like Time Expired. This one's more of a grim one, but I enjoy it. This one could go well with that apocalyptic theme, which we're getting to. Give me a sec. We also have the pumpkin snowmen. I don't know why it's called snowman, it's just one. It's snowman, really. It's cool. I don't know where you would put it. I guess with pumpkins, probably, but it does have a kind of Christmas overtone to it, despite it being spooky. I'd love to see a mashup of, like, the Christmas and Halloween stuff together. That would be a cool thing to try out, Lemax. If you're watching this, maybe jot that as a note. You're probably not watching, but it's okay. But thank you if you are. Jack-o'-lantern bird bath, fine. Fine. Day of the Dead crypt, fine. I don't really do the Day of the Dead stuff. If you're into that theming, then I like that. I'm just not. So that's just a lot of this comes down to personal preference. I don't think any of this is necessarily bad. Like, ugh, I don't get that. It's fine. Ready for a new spell. I don't really do a ton of the witch things, but again, it's very popular. Look at Michael's. Very popular. The Last Ditch Zombie is pretty dope. It goes with what we're going to talk about in a minute, but it goes well with that apocalyptic wasteland type thing. I like that he has the aviator glasses and the hat. The Undead Brewery Worker is really cool. I like that he has the barrel over his shoulder. The Gentleman, always a gentleman, is cool too. I like that the umbrella looks like a spider. Clever. Candy Apple Cart. There was that, like, bucket piece. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a bucket and it had apples in it and, like, pumpkins. If you have that in the Spider Cider shop, the set of 5 is pretty nice to own. This can almost go into a Thanksgiving type of display as well. Dark, I don't even want to try. I'm gonna butcher it. Portents? Dark Portents. It looks like an Esmeralda type character from the Hunchback of Notre Dame. She's cool. If you go for that kind of mystic thing, this is a great accessory piece. We don't get a ton of that, so if you're into that theme, that's one you want. Monster Coffee Break, I enjoy. Frankenstein's monster is always an appeal to me, as is Igor. We don't usually get Igor with these displays, so it's nice to have the little hunchback guy there. He's cool. Curbside Pickup, another witch. It's very Halloween-y with the cat and the jack-o'-lantern. Kind of wraps it up in a nutshell really well there. Lab Assistant, I enjoy as well. Hunchback thing. Halloween Pet Walk. I like the Fries costume. I gotta give him. I like the Fries thing. If you're into the trick-or-treat street stuff, get the Fries guy. Get the Fries guy. I don't really know what to tell you. Sandwich board skeleton. Sure. Again, I'm really just saying that it all comes down to personal preference. I don't like a lot of the cutesier things. I like more of the creepy stuff, but any of this is fair game. Feeding the birds is fine. The zombie wedding I actually like quite a bit. That's a pretty funny thing. It looks like a pretty big set, too. Let's take a look at it. I like that one. True Love Never Dies. If you did like a morbid Valentine's Day thing, that could play for laughs. I really like that. I didn't really look at this one very well, but they're actually pretty gross looking. They got blood on them and everything, and the photographer, nice. Good job, Lemax. Good job. Yeah, I don't know where I would put that, but maybe I'll find a place. If you had a haunted church, I don't know if they've had to have done a cathedral. I know they do a ton for Christmas. If you have a spooky church, that is great. That's great. Black Cat Countdown. I don't really do the witches, like I said. Fine if you do. I already own a countdown. I don't need it, but I like that they're like hanging by their tails. In the Wrong Graveyard. You got the skeleton animals. I kind of like the skeleton animals there. Day of the Dead Party is another Day of the Dead piece. If you do that theme, that's probably one for you, because this is a pretty big accessory. Take a look at that. That is a pretty big accessory. You get a lot going on in that party. That kind of wraps up the entire Day of the Dead celebration there. You got the banner, you got the instruments they're playing, and the candles. It's good. It captures the spirit of that celebration. Then you have the graveyard costume party. That's nice, kind of simple, but I think it's cool. Now we're getting into my favorite accessory of the year. No surprise. The Last Ditch tow truck. I really dig this truck. Even if you weren't going to get the gas station, which we're getting to, I promise, the tow truck is dope. I own the Wasteland pub. This would go great with either piece, because I really think that this theme is catching on with collectors. So that's exciting. The Witch's Cottage is probably another one of my least favorites of this year. It's very simple. It's kind of generic. It kind of reminds me of all of the other houses that we get that look just like this. I think you could do better. Even in terms of the porcelain houses, I think you could do better. But it's fine. It's fine. I just don't see why that one would appeal if you didn't already purchase ones that look just like it from the last 3 years. So this is one of the ones that is in my top ranking. It's the B.A. Fried Clocksmith. Like, be afraid. I get it. I get it. Took me a sec. Good job, Lemax. Yeah, I like the clock thing going. It's very gothic, which is unlike me, but I do enjoy it. I like the skull there. There's no video of it. It's just a lighted building. So there's not a whole lot to say about it, but I think it's cool. I just like the design of it, personally. There's not a ton to say. I could see it fitting really well in like a Times Square type center scene. Would work really well. Alright, let's get it out of the way. This is going to be a shock to some of you guys. Maybe not, but to some of you, this is my favorite piece of the year. I know. I know. You're thinking right now, what? Yeah, it's my favorite piece of the year. That's a wrap Mummy Mortuary, and the reason is, very simply, I don't own any mummy stuff. And it's all very old. And, with my village, I try to mix up the theming, so I have a little bit of Wasteland, I got a little bit of pumpkins, I got a little bit of haunted houses, I got some dragon stuff going on now, and kind of that witch thing, which I'm not crazy about, but, yeah. So I want different lands in my village, and the one thing that I've always loved is the Egyptian and the mummies. I love mummies. When I was a kid, that was like the Halloween costume I always did. Mummies. So to see this just brought a smile to my face. I really love it. I love the yellows on it and the greens. Now, if you have a traditional Egyptian kind of scene going with the pyramids and everything, this probably wouldn't work because this is like a business. But if you just want a little of that Egyptian mummy flavor into your village, this is great. I really like it. And you can even see the Frankenstein monster in the window there, so it's kind of blending the mummy stuff with the classic Halloween images. It's just a lighted building, which is nice, which means it's not going to break my wallet. And I will be probably one of the first people to pick this up. I really dig it. I love the head up there. It's just great. What can I say? I love the theming on that. Okay, you have this skeleton, lamps, again going into little accessory pieces, the witchy cauldron. These are the ghosts that I think are going to be big sellers. So if you like the trick-or-treat stuff, I'm just saying, jump on it now, because these are going to go fast. I'm just guessing. I like them, though. They're cool. I think the reason the trick-or-treat town is so successful is because it's very nostalgic for a lot of individuals who do this hobby, and so more power to you. Go out and get these pieces. This one is cool. This one's growing on me a lot. Sugared Pumpkin Candy Shop. It's a lighted building again, but it's kind of like the gingerbread stuff for Christmas, but it's Halloween. For a holiday that is based around sugar and candy, it's a surprise that this is the first time we've gotten like a candy shop for Halloween, but I really like it. It's got like toxic waste down there. You got all different types of candy and barrels. Even the pumpkin's got some sugar on it. Really cool. It's very different. It's very bright, vibrant green and orange. But hey, Why not? Up next we have the Shinbone Family Reunion. This one does have a video. It's a family reunion of skeleton people. It looks like a trailer or an RV that is a pumpkin. Fairly simple concept. I could see how this would work pretty well for a lot of displays. And I like the lights on it. I like those purple lights. I like that the coffin is a cooler. It's a funny idea. It's kind of getting into that southern flair there. I could see this being a popular piece as well, because it's a good accessory. It's a mix between a house and an accessory. Probably will be decently popular because people like the pumpkin thing. If you like the pumpkin thing, this is a great year for you. Now we're getting into the other favorite of mine this year, and a lot of people's favorite, and I don't blame them at all. This is Dr. Gory's Laboratory, which, what a catchy name off the bat. There's so much to talk about with this. Gosh, the lighting is fantastic. The bubbles in the tubes is great. The brain. The electrical beams up there on the top. So cool. So cool. I love that. I really want to get this one and the Egyptian. If I could get those two, I'm a happy camper. There's a third one that I really like too, and you probably know what that is, but this is great stuff. Like, Lemax, you knocked it out of the park. This is definitely one of the best years of recent memory that I can think of. At least for my taste, because this is all kind of the stuff that I love. That kind of sci-fi, weird type thing. Going right along with that, speaking of which, we have the Last Ditch Gas and Salvage, which I'm going to play the video here. It doesn't look like it has any sound, which is kind of nice, honestly, because I turned the sound off anyways, so not really missing out on anything. This is kind of to go with the Wasteland pub type thing, the apocalyptic, kind of Mad Maxy, kind of zombie-ish theme. I really like it. My one complaint is I'm not a crazy fan of this guy right here, the big face. I liked the gas mask a whole lot more. Is it still awesome? Heck yeah, it's really cool. I do fear it being rather expensive, which is why it's third on my list in terms of favorites, whereas those other two I think are going to be a tad bit cheaper, for my budget at least. But man, just really cool. I love that it's a gas station. The truck would go great with this. That vulture on the parking meter would go great with this. You could really get a cool display going with some of these pieces. Now this is another one that is popular with a lot of people, and I'm just not crazy about it. I think the problem is, it's not bad, again, saying that, not saying it's bad, but there's a lot going on. It's a lot to take in. It's all different colors. You got oranges and browns, and there's some yellows in there, and green, and neon green, and gray, and it's like, ooh, what am I looking at? This is just like a lot to take in, and again, some people might really like that. For me, I like, I don't know, it's just, it's a mix of like a church, because it's like a crypt, but it's also got pumpkin vines growing all over it. It's a cool idea if you really want like a full-blown pumpkin village, but for me, who likes differentiation, I don't know if I would gravitate toward this one, but I can definitely see why people like it. I think the lighting on this is fantastic. How it really draws your attention right to that big old pumpkin face. That's cool. And I can see that this one will probably be a really good seller as well. And finally, last but certainly not least, at least in terms of the non-exclusive pieces, as far as those are concerned, we have Agatha's Apothecary, which, for being a witch one, is actually not my least favorite.
Come on into Agatha's Apothecary.
Except I don't like the audio. Did I make that clear?
Very shy. The place to be for all your spells, potions, and hexes. Just a dash of...
I'm just not crazy about the voice acting. I could just tell with like 2 cycles of it, I get annoyed. But it looks cool. It's similar to like a mix between the mad science stuff and the witch stuff. Reminds me of like Halloween 3, like science and witchcraft. interesting. I dig it. I do really dig that one. Again, I probably wouldn't buy it, but it's cool. It's cool. Now, if I can find it, I have sometimes difficulty navigating Lemax's site. Let me see if I can find the exclusive stuff for Michaels, because that's where everybody usually goes. I don't know, does Gift Spice have, maybe I should check Gift Spice first. Do they have anything? Nope, says coming soon. Okay, so they have their Christmas stuff. Not gonna talk about that now. Well, you know, you can check that out on your own time. They do have some new miniature pieces, like Night Out on the Town, which goes with one of the big pieces, as does the Roaring Roadster, which goes with one of the big pieces, and Dancing in the Moonlight, which actually this one looks kind of cool if you like the witch thing. I like the moon, and it looks like they spin around it. Nice. Nice accessory. I like when the accessories are given the thought they deserve. Now, you do have a brewery. This is a mill. It's called the Headstone Mill. It's, again, there's a lot going on here. I don't think it's, like, terrible or anything. It's just, I don't know, they've done a lot of brewery stuff recently. This kind of leans into the nautical, not entirely, because there's not really any water on this. There's an alligator, so it's kind of like algae water. I do like that alligator. I didn't notice him before. I do like the music on it. The music's cool. So that's one of the pieces for this year. The big one for Michaels is going to be this piece right here. This bad boy, the Gloom Room, which, if you've ever seen The Shining, it reminds me of the Gold Ballroom from The Shining, where it's kind of got that roaring 20s feel to it. Everyone's in their tuxedos and stuff. Very, very cool. You know what's weird is this one doesn't have a video or anything, but I'm assuming it's going to play music. Yeah, it says sights and sounds, so I'm assuming it's going to play some old kind of jazz music, and they're going to be dancing around up there. I think it's really neat. I'm excited to see this one in stores. Probably won't get it because it's going to be out of my price range, but for that keen collector, this is going to be a really hot piece for this year. I really like that roaring 20s theme going on. My favorite of the exclusives, believe it or not, is this one. The Future Looks Dark. It's just a lighted porcelain house. It's just the theming is really cool. It's that mystic tarot thing, which I used to not like, but I did a short film a few years ago, shameless plug, called Beholder of the Eye, and I did some research into the tarot stuff, and while I wouldn't personally do it, I find it really kind of spooky, and therefore I think this is one of the creepier pieces of the year, with the moons and the eyes and all this. I like the color scheme going. If this one's cheap enough, I might throw my hand in it and make this the third piece I get, but that's not, like, crazy high on my list. It would be like if one of my other pieces that are not exclusive doesn't wind up at Michaels, and Michaels happens to offer this one early on. But it's cool. I think it's creepy, and I think it's going to sell decently well, because they sell a lot of that type of tarot, palm read, kind of mystic thing there. It's cool. I like the eyes and the signage on it, and the little Madame Serena in the window. Nice job. Nice job, Lemax and Michaels. Then we also have Toil and Trouble. This is another ale house again. We're sticking with the boozing. We're sticking with the boozing. Not crazy about this one. Witches and the brewery stuff makes for not a great Max special. Whoa, I made it really big there. It's fine. It's fine. If you were into that, I'm not, so it's not fine for me, but that's preference. And then finally, last but certainly not least for this video, is this guy, or gal, or whatever this is, Raven Hill. This one is different. Again, it's leaning heavily into the witch thing, but it's also got a mortuary on there. But what's cool about this is you notice up here, what they do with some of the Christmas ones I've noticed, and now it looks like they're branching into the other holidays with Halloween, they are building like the backdrop, so it looks like the piece goes back further than it does. This is a really cool one to kind of set the scene, if you will. So I'm gonna guess this is gonna be a pretty popular pick. See how the zombies are kind of going up that trail? I like that. I think that's cool. I don't know if I'm gonna get it, but I think that, it's called a facade. If you want to know the official name, it's called the facade type piece. And does anyone know if there's been any other Halloween facades? Someone out there is going to correct me, but I sure do like it. There you go, Raven Hill. Wrapped it up very, very well. This was a fantastic year. I'm going to go back to the main page for Lemax Spooky Town. Can't wait to see this stuff in person, maybe see some more videos of it, and leave in the comments which one of these spooky pieces was your favorite. I'm curious to hear from you. As for me, the That's a Wrap mummy thing, the lab, the last ditch gas, and the tarot thing, probably gonna round out my favorites, but most of these I would say are pretty well worth what you'd probably buy them for. Some of those big pieces are going to be really cool to see, and a pretty hot commodity, so jump on those while you can. Thank you for watching, by the way, and remember, for all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer.